Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Culture Connection. I hope you all are having a great time enjoying the vibrant cultures which are so beautifully portrayed by the respective Rotaract Clubs. So, now let's dive back in and have a look at some of the other cultures from around the world. Rotaract Club of Itabuna University, Brazil.
Hey guys, how do you do? I hope you're right. My name is Euripides. I am treasurer and member of the International Service Commission of the Rotaract Club Universitários Itabuna, Brazil, Bahia. I'm here to talk a little bit about the literature of my country, Brazil. It is such an old book, but I like it. The book is Dom Casmurro, editor Machado de Assis. The book is a work of realism. Realism in literature, in Brazilian literature, has some fundamental characteristics. Social criticism, focus on physiological descriptions, objectivity. Read, please. It is a very good book because represents the complexity of the human relationships, and I hope you enjoy it. So long, bye bye.
Hi everyone, how are you? I am Bianca De Luca and my club is Rotaract Club Itabuna Universitários here in Brazil, specifically in Bahia State. And I'm gonna tell you a little bit about Bahia's culture. Brazil is a very big country and very diverse culture. So it means that every state here has its own culture. And Bahia is not different. Actually, we are known in Latin Brazil to be a very expressive, very diverse, very rich culture. And we received the influences from several people. Mainly by Africans, Portuguese, native people, especially of native people, and Lebanese. Yeah. We also have a kind of exclusive genre of music in Brazil. It's called of Axé. It's very expressive kind of genre of music and dance. And our literature is very expressive in Brazil also. One of the most known writers in Brazil is from here, from my city, Itabuna, and he is from Bahia, of course, because the city is in Bahia. And his name is Jorge Amado. He passed away a few years ago, actually, almost 20 years ago, but he's very important in Brazilian literature, not only in Bahia's literature, but in literature of Brazil and in the Portuguese language. It's a little bit about Bahia's culture. Ciao!
Rotaract Club of Pompei, Italy.
Io sono napoletano e vivo nella più antica capitale d'Occidente. Eravamo metropoli quando New York non esisteva e Londra e Parigi erano piccole città. Io sono napoletano e appartengo alla cultura più antica d'Europa, quella cultura che ci permetteva di parlare greco quando tutti parlavano latino. Io sono napoletano e parlo una lingua che era lingua diplomatica alla corte di Caterina la Grande, quella lingua che ha dato all'Italia una tradizione musicale, letteraria e teatrale.
Napoli è mille colore.
Era Napoli di Giordano Bruno, era Napoli di Giovan
Napoli
Battista
è
Vico,
mille
nel 400 era
paure.
Napoli di Pontano e di Sannazaro, è la Napoli dei grandi musicisti del Settecento,
Napoli è
è la
voce
Napoli
e
del teatro.
creatura che sai chiano e tu sai che non sei sola.
Napoli ti conquista con questo fascino, questo profumo, questo valore, questo sentimento impalpabile. Arrivi e ti senti a casa.
Napoli non sola mare, Napoli adori mare, Napoli è una carta sporca e nessuna se ne importa e ognuno aspetta sciorta.
Rotaract Club of Panadura, Sri Lanka.
කැලේ හැදෙන කිරිමදුවැල් කාපල්ලා දොලේ ගලන හීතල දියවී පල්ලා වෙලෙහිය අහවර කරනා පල්ලා යලේ කන්න ගොඩ දමලා දීපල්ලා යලේ කන්න ගොඩ දමලා දීපල්ලා නැම්බාඹරේ මහා කුඹුරේ දිය බැන්දා පින්හියට 18 බානක් බැන්දා රන් පොළොවේලි නගුලෙන් නිරියන්දා අම්බරුවනේ රට රැකුනේ තොපිහින්දා අම්බරුවනේ රට රැකුනේ තොපිහින්දා කැලේ හැදෙන කිරිමදුවැල් කාපල්ලා දොලේ ගලන හීතල දියවී පල්ලා වෙලෙහිය අහවර කරනා පල්ලා යලේ කන්න ගොඩ දමලා දීපල්ලා යලේ කන්න ගොඩ දමලා දීපල්ලා යලේ කන්න ගොඩ දමලා දීපල්ලා යලේ කන්න ගොඩ දමලා දීපල්ලා.
Hi, I'm Sandhani Hettigoda, the president of the Rotaract Club of Panadura of the Rotary International District 3220, Sri Lanka and Maldives. So Rotaract Club of Panadura is a community-based club in the city of Panadura of the Kalutara district of Western province of Sri Lanka. And we are truly a community-based club because all our members are from Panadura itself. Our club was chartered back in 2009 by 4 friends who lived in the city of Panadura. And I'm so grateful that they did that because it created a platform not only for them but also for us and future members to serve humanity, to serve people in and around Panadura and even at other places. So the motto of the Rotaract Club of Panadura has been Yeoman's Service Towards Humanity, and we focus a lot on community service projects while also we think of professional development and club service as 2 other important avenues. So under community service projects, From My Heart to Yours and Feed the Stray are some of the very key projects. From My Heart to Yours was done continuously year after year to help kids to find their medical treatments for kids who could not afford them by themselves. And Feed the Stray was a project done in order to raise awareness on why we should not be abandoning animals on streets, the responsibility of being a human being, and how we can help animals by feeding them. This was not just about feeding, but also helping raise awareness on why and how we should be kind to animals. So most of the projects that we do, even if the head count of the impact is little, the story that we try to promote, the awareness that we try to promote is huge. And so is our year theme for this year, which is Knowledge is Power, because we believe as a club that most of the problems have become problems because people lack awareness. People lack the right awareness on different aspects of life. So if we can cater to this void, if we can give them knowledge, most of the problems they can solve by themselves. And when I say knowledge is power, it does not mean about issues, but also the knowledge about our friends, the knowledge about humans. That understanding should be there for us as Rotaractors, as global citizens. So the year theme of the Rotaract district organization for this year is Strive as One. So as a part of the District 3220, Rotaract Club of Panadura is always trying to strive as one with knowledge as power, and by empowering other people with knowledge. And that way we will always be able to open opportunities for others, open opportunities for ourselves. We will be able to create fellowship through service. Viva la Rotaract!
Rotaract Club of Manhattan, NYC, United States.
Hi there, this is Anastasia. I'm from the Rotaract Club of Manhattan, and we'll be participating in this culture exchange. Thank you very much for allowing us to be part of it. All the best.
2, 3.
Hansel and Gretel. Adapted by Susan Lawrence, illustrated by Doug Plummer. Hansel and Gretel lived with their parents in a tiny cottage at the edge of the forest. Their father was a simple woodcutter, and although he worked hard, the family was very poor. Many times, Hansel and Gretel had nothing but a crust of bread for their supper. At night, after Hansel and Gretel were in bed, their parents would talk in worried voices. Even though they whispered, Hansel and Gretel could hear what they said. "What is to become of us?" asked Father one night. "Soon we will not have enough money even for flour." "We will manage," Mother said. "I must go into the forest to find work," Father said. "Otherwise we will surely starve." Mother gasped. "There must be some other way," she replied anxiously. Then she calmed herself. "We will find one. Now let's get some rest." "Hansel, we can't let Father go," whispered Gretel to her brother from her bed. "What can we do?" "I will travel into the forest instead," replied Hansel. Then I will come with you," said Gretel bravely. "The forest is very dangerous. You may need my help." "Very well. We will leave tonight." Now before daylight, Hansel and Gretel crept out of their beds and pulled on their clothes. Gretel collected some bread from their kitchen and stuffed it in their pockets. "I suppose it's not such a bad idea for you to come along, Hansel told Gretel as they took a last look at their house and began walking into the dark forest. The children walked silently. They walked all day long, through the tangled brush and tall trees. They walked until their feet hurt and their legs felt tired and heavy. "I did not realize the forest was so big," Gretel said. "Neither did I," said Hansel. But don't worry, I have made sure you will not get lost. I left a trail of breadcrumbs behind us in case we need to turn back. You are very clever, Hansel, Gretel laughed. Why do you laugh? Hansel asked. I have sacrificed my bread to help us. Look, said Gretel, pointing. Behind them, 3 blackbirds hopped along, carefully eating each breadcrumb. Hansel had dropped. The trail Hansel had left for them had vanished completely. Hansel, here, eat some, Gretel said, trying to comfort her brother. She held out a piece of bread to him. I'm not hungry anymore, Hansel said. By now the children were very tired. They continued to walk through the forest. Surely they would come across some place they could rest, or someone who could give them something small to eat. They were certainly lost now, and they felt as though they were walking in circles. Night fell upon the forest, and the strange noises came from behind the trees. Hansel and Gretel sat down, huddled against the cold. Did you hear that? Said Hansel, reaching for Gretel's hand. It's only an owl, Gretel whispered. It's only an owl, Gretel whispered. We should try to sleep now. Soon the children were asleep, dreaming of a warm supper. In the morning, they continued to walk. At first, to make the time pass, they sang songs as their parents had taught them. Soon they grew tired and hungry again, and walked along in silence. After a while, the children entered a small clearing. They could not believe their eyes. Gretel, look! Hansel shouted. A cottage! Maybe whoever lives there will give us something to eat, said Gretel eagerly. As the children hurried closer, they saw it was no ordinary cottage. Its walls were made of gingerbread, and its windows were of clear sugar. It is the most beautiful house I have ever seen, Gretel said. It's certainly the most delicious house I have ever seen, said Hansel, and he began to break off some frosting to eat. Wait! Gretel cried. We should see if someone is home and ask before we eat. The children knocked on the door. After a moment, it opened, and an old woman with a cane came out. Hello, my dears, the old woman said sweetly. We have been traveling through the forest, Gretel said. We are very tired and hungry. May we rest here? The old woman invited the children inside. She prepared them a meal of pancakes with rich syrup. Then she showed them to 2 beds that were covered with soft down. But in the morning, as the children woke up, the old woman grabbed Hansel and locked him in the cottage. In a cage. She locked him in a cage. She's a witch! Hansel cried from inside the cage. That's right, the witch shouted. I am a witch, and you will be my supper once you are good and fat. For the next few weeks, the witch made sure Hansel had plenty to eat. Gretel was given only crusts of bread. Each morning, the witch would stand by Hansel's cage and say, stick out your finger so I can see how plump you are. But Hansel was clever. He knew that witches can't see very well. Instead of his finger, he would stick out a tiny little chicken bone that Gretel had managed to pass him secretly. The witch would say, feeling the chicken bone. What a scrawny thing you are. You must eat more. Then the witch would yell at poor Gretel to bring Hansel more food. One morning, the witch ordered Gretel to fetch some water. Whether Hansel is fat or lean, today I will cook and eat him. I've waited long enough. No, Gretel shouted. You stubborn child, do as I say. The witch demanded impatiently, but Gretel would not move. The witch nudged Gretel up to the oven. Check the oven to make sure it is hot enough. Gretel knew better than to trust the old witch. No, Gretel said, I don't know how to check. So I will do it myself, shouted the witch. She shoved Gretel aside, so she hobbled over to the oven and poked her head inside. Just as she did, Gretel gave her a push from behind. The witch fell right into the oven. Gretel quickly slammed the iron door and bolted it so the old witch could not get out. I told you that you would need my help, Gretel said as she opened the door of Hansel's cage. Hansel sprang out and hugged her. With nothing else to fear, the children sat down and enjoyed a feast of cookies, fresh bread, and candies. Before they left the cottage, the children gathered food to eat during their long journey home. As they wandered through the house, searching for food, Hansel and Gretel discovered boxes of pearls and precious stones. The children stuffed their pockets with the jewels and filled large sacks with as
Rotaract Club of Barrackpore, India.
Hi everyone, I'm Rotaract Devdutta Ghosh, the president of Rotaract Club of Barrackpore, RID 3291. Coming from one of the most diverse countries in this whole world, our club never fails to celebrate any occasion. And talking about Bengal, we have this thing called Baro Mashe Taro Parbon, where we celebrate more than the months we have. And to talk about our club, we are a part of a lot of cultural activities. We love to celebrate our cultures. We conduct events like Shikhol Bangargan, which focuses on removing the stigmatization of not including widowers, sex workers or transgenders into primitive traditions of our place. Other than that, we celebrate Diwali by making sky lanterns of 6 feet height, and we release them in the sky with our club logos and sometimes some innovative things. And we present before you the glimpse of our varied culture in somewhat a small span of time. I hope that you enjoy it.
Namaskar. My name is Tanmay Roy. I am from Kolkata, West Bengal, and today I'm going to talk about Durga Puja and how it got so famous. So, just to put it out there for the people who doesn't know what Durga Puja is one of the most widely celebrated pujas or festivals in India and also abroad. So, Durga Puja is said to believe it is one of the most famous and most widely celebrated pujas. But how did it get its popularity? How did it attain its fame? A lot of people don't know about it. And honestly speaking, it is a bit controversial topic, especially in the Bengali community. But today I'm going to go ahead with the most widely accepted notion. So, it is believed that Durga Puja started back in the year of 1757, right after the Britishers conquered India, and also introduced the Zamindari system. And it is also believed that it was the Zamindars who introduced this new form of Durga Puja that we know now. Because earlier back in those days, Durga Puja was like worshipped just in the house, like a regular puja that we do. But the way it is done now, that majesticity, the grandeur, it was introduced by the Zamindars actually. And they were the kings and the rulers of those times, because apparently they used to control a particular piece of land. They used to collect the taxes and everything. So they had a pretty decent amount of money to spend it in the pujas. So back in those days, Durga Puja used to resemble the reuniting of families, both the Zamindari families and also the subjects. The Zamindars considered it as a very grand occasion to flaunt their wealth and also hobnobbing with the new sahibs. But that went on for quite some time. But unfortunately, that did not last very long. So the descendants of the Zamindars who introduced this new form of Durga Puja started looking at it as a status symbol instead of a place where families and people and subjects and Zamindars reunited. They started looking at it as a perspective that the people who belong to the elite upper class of the community, only they should be invited over here in the puja, and it should be restricted to them and them only. And that did hurt the emotions of the subjects, because it was not just a puja. It was a place, a time in which people could forget all of their problems, be it financial, be it personal, be it career, and they used to enjoy for those 4 to 5 days of the pujas. And it was suddenly taken away from them. Their joy, their only reason to stay happy, it was snatched away from them. And they did revolt. They revolted by starting their very own form of Durga Puja. They were not allowed in the Durga Pujas of the Rajbaris. No problem with that. They started a very own form of Durga Puja in which 12 families got together and started their very own form, and they named it Barowari Durga Puja. Now Barowari means Baro Bari. Barowari means 12 families. See, there was a flaw in this particular form of Durga Puja as well. The people who were invited were restricted only to the 12 families who organized this particular festival and their relatives. No one other than them were allowed into it. But there was a pretty decent amount of people who were left out, and they started feeling left out. See, back in those days, it was not very easy to have your very own Durga Puja because people used to struggle to meet the ends of their basic necessities. So it was not financially possible to organize their own Durga Puja, and it was irrational at that time. But even against all of those odds, a particular group of people came together and introduced yet another form of Durga Puja, in which anyone, and I mean anyone, irrelevant of your caste, creed, sex, occupation, anything, can come to the Durga Puja, and you are very much welcome. This resulted in the formulation of yet another form of Durga Puja, which is called Sarvojoni Durga Puja. Now Sarvojoni means anyone and everyone is invited, and Sarvojoni Durga Puja is the form that in which we celebrate now in 2020.
एक कुड़ी जिदा नाम मोहब्बत गुम है गुम है गुम है चाँद मुराती सोनी मोहब्बत गुम है गुम है गुम है दिल में क्या है ऐसा भी क्या गुरु तुझको भी तो हो रहा है थोड़ा जरूर हो ये खामोशी जीने ना दे कोई तो बात हो वो 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 शायद यही है प्यार शायद यही है प्यार
Whenever it comes to food, I think Chinese, Bengali and Mughlai cuisine does not need any special mention. Starting from the fish finger, the red chili pepper fish and the Hunan chicken from barbecue, or the full Brahmaputra Ilish or the Ilish biryani from Bhutaraja Dilobor. Last but not the least, the butter chicken, the potli kebab and the peshwari kebab, and the mung malai tikka from Karim's. They doesn't need any special mention. I would suggest each and everyone to go and try this place because I believe you won't never regret. So try these delicacies and enjoy the food to the fullest because once a foodie is always a foodie.
लेके उड़ा चला जाए रे जहाँ नहीं जाना था ये वहीं चला हाय रे उम्र का ये ताना बाना समझ न पाए रे जुबां पे जो मोह माया नमक लगाए रे के देखे न भाले न जाने न दाए रे दिशाहारा কেমন বোকা মনটা রে कागज के दो पंख लेके उड़ चला गाए रे जहाँ नहीं जाना था वहीं चला हाय रे उम्र का ये ताना बाना समझ न पाए रे जुबां पे जो मोह माया नमक लगाए रे के देखे न भाले न जाने न दाए रे दिशाहारा बोका मोंटा रे